Thank you very much for joining my podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here, Ralph. I appreciate it.
Richard, for for the viewers who don't know you, you are an actor, SAG-AFTRA member, a writer, director, producer with a bachelor in fine arts, in speech and theater.
Yes, sir. That's right.
So, but you came late into acting.
Yes, yes. I spent about 25 years in the corporate world before taking what most people thought was quite a crazy turn. I retired early so that I could commit fully to acting and writing.
But you haven't lived in Los Angeles. You moved there after retirement, right?
No, I lived in Los Angeles. I have lived in Los Angeles for quite some time. I'm breaking all my records actually for how long I've been here. I moved here in the late 80s after living in New York City for years, San Francisco for years. Uh, but once I came here on a vacation, I realized, oh, this is it for me. I just love Southern California.
So, do you think it makes it easier to live in Los Angeles to become an actor or getting
I really
roles or parts?
Yes, I really do. My friends, we're influenced by our friends and the people in our orbit, and so many of my friends were acting here and getting parts. And a lady in my building, I'd always see her going up the steps and off to auditions, and it gradually, over time, gave me the idea to hey, I'd like to dip into this. I know how to act and I'm living in Los Angeles, so why not give it a spin? And that's I've never looked back.
It has never been your ambition to become an actor. You stumbled in, or
No, I wouldn't say that because I acted all through high school and loved it, and then I acted all through college and loved it, and I got my Bachelor of Fine Arts in theater. So you have to act a lot and be in a lot of shows to get a Bachelor of Fine Arts. So I love that, but shortly after I did that, I got my BFA. I moved to New York City with the idea of being an actor, but then life got in the way. It was so expensive to live there that I found that I was working so long and so many hours just to make the rent and that sort of thing. And I started drifting away from that idea of being an actor and gradually getting into the corporate world and eventually going back and getting a Bachelor of Science and a BFA and just, doing that for about 25 years. And that was fun. It was fulfilling and it was good. But I always had that in the back of my mind that I loved acting. And in fact, I was in a film back in the 90s uh, uh, called Among the Dead that friends of mine produced, and I enjoyed being in that. But I just took vacation from work, and I didn't tell anybody from work about it. It was just my way of acting out and being an actor for a while, and then that kind of resonated with me, and I always thought, gee, I should probably try more of that. So when I finally was in a position to retire early, I did so I could become an actor.
when we talk about acting or actor, there's a difference between theater, what you probably did with theater, and transferring or transitioning into a movie or film or TV acting.
Certainly, that was quite an interesting challenge for me because you're right. In theater, everything's so big. You have the people in the back of the theater have to know what's going on, and they have to see you. And here you are doing film where you're just in this little box. And um, that was quite a transition. Uh, I being a part of active actors, and they have many acting classes, and I have to credit people for that.
So let's separate theater. You did theater before, but then you're transitioning into movie or TV shows. Uh,
Yes. Mhm.
it's your experience. How is it starting late, becoming an actor within the movie industry?
Well, it is a challenge because there's such a premium put on youth in our culture, and but I look at that as that's I just accept that as of course part of life, and that there are roles for older folks. And in a way, I've always played character roles most of the time anyway when I was younger. So basically, I've just kind of aged into the type that of character type of work that I can get. So I'm grateful for any kind of role. I have a range of 50 up to about 80 plus. So I'll take any work I can get, and I enjoy just the opportunity to act. So
So definitely, you have to go to Hollywood to become an actor for movies and TV shows.
I would say that has been the truth for a long time, but these days everything's getting so um, distributed among various, centers in the US and in Canada and internationally. And plus, what we do to audition now is we send in our videos. So really, you could live anywhere as long as you get an agent and are submitting the videos and are willing to travel to wherever they're shooting. Excuse me, I wouldn't say that you have to go to Hollywood. It's helpful because you run into a lot of people here that are doing the same thing, and you pick up pointers and that sort of thing and swim with the herd. But there are a lot of people that get cast from all over the country now because it's gone so remote.
Speaking of remote, Sherry Wang, or I think her first name is pronounced Xiong, Sherry Wang. She's the best example. I don't know if she lives in Los Angeles. She lives in Los Angeles, but she's actually not an actress in per se. She is her own producer of her own video category, and she won more than 2,000 awards.
Yeah, I've been in many of her videos, several of them. Uh, Re Regret, The Perfect Girl, My Son, The Helper, Atlas at Last, among others. And how did I uh, meet her? I was at a film festival, the Africa USA International Film Festival, and she had submitted one of her films to our film festival. Afterwards, there was a reception up on top of the Astor Hotel, and I was just making my rounds, greeting everyone, and we hit it off. We talked for quite a while, and I take my opportunities where they when they come along, and I said, I'm also an actor looking for work, and she said, "Well, would you like to? I think I have some roles for you, and would you like to shoot a film up in Toronto, Canada, and then come down to New Orleans, and then get on a boat, and then we're going to shoot some more in Tulum, down in Mexico. Would that sound good to you?" And I said, "Yes, it absolutely would." And it wasn't just talk. She made good on her offer, and it was a wonderful, wonderful beginning of collaborating with her. And she is a powerhouse, amazing uh, force of nature, just writer, producer, and actually she does act too, rarely in some of her productions. So glad that we have met, and she's a delight to work with and just a genius, really. So I feel so fortunate to know her.
You
Yeah.
are also an active member of Water for People.
Yes, yes, yes. I
What?
go to.
Yeah, they provide drinking water for economically underdeveloped countries.
That's right, all
Yeah,
over
like
the world.
Africa, yeah, Africa, Asia, and all over the. How does it actually work? Are you carrying in airplanes thousands of gallons water to these countries, or how does it work?
Not at all. What we do is we produce uh, sustainable sources of clean drinking water by drilling wells in the third world, and then we don't just drill the well and leave them to it. We teach people how to maintain the well. That involves money, so we teach them just some basic ways that they can go about let's say we drill a well in a village deep in the countryside, say in Malawi. We teach the local folks that will be using that well to collect a little bit of money from everybody in the area so that they can afford these simple maintenance procedures that would keep the well working year round. And that way it becomes self-sustaining. So much of aid to the third world is people rush in and they set these things up and then they don't follow through. But we try so hard to keep it going so that the folks year after year can use that well. And it really is a game changer because I've heard stories that would just curl your hair. I mean, people would say, thank God we have this well now because we used to have to go down to the Zambezi River to get our water, and every once in a while a crocodile would eat one of us, things like that. And or women would thank us for the well because before they had the well, they had to walk a mile or 2 miles or more to get water each day. And that took up a big, and they'd come back with it on their head, and that would take up such a big part of their day that they wouldn't have time to go to school or other, productive activities. And having a well in the village made all the difference for them, such a time saver. And also, it wasn't just wells, it was sanitary facilities. So we would set up these latrines and manufacture the lids for the latrines and that sort of thing. They're very basic, but make all the difference to have those sanitary facilities rather than just having open defecation, that sort of thing. So these very basic steps go a long way to improving many people's lives, and it's amazing that how it's just a game changer for these villages, and it's meant a lot to me down through the years.
Besides being an active member of Water for People, you are also the HR and programs director of Active Actors Academy in Los Angeles.
That's right.
How
Yes.
can I short it? I short it to Active Actors Academy. I will short it to AAA or Triple A. AAA. So makes it easier for me. So how can AAA help someone who wants to get into acting or even support their existing acting career? How can AA or Triple A help them?
Well, for one thing, to be a successful actor, you have to know how to audition. And active actors goes a long way toward showing people how to set up their cameras, how to be on camera, how to um, act on camera, and when people first start there, they're fidgety, they're all over the place. They don't know where to look to show different characters. The cameras are all cattywampus. That just screams amateur. That screams somebody doesn't know what they're doing. If somebody sends in an audition and the camera's all over the place and they don't have good placement and that sort of thing. So we go a long way toward focusing on auditioning. Once you get the job, how to act on set. It's not about you. You are just part of the team. You're not needy. You're just there to represent. You're there to act. You're a product, really. You're there to do your role and do it efficiently and as uh, cost effectively as you can. You want to be ready. You want to be have your lines memorized. You don't make it about you. It's just how you can contribute. So it's a whole philosophy about how you act in the industry, how you get jobs, what you do once you get the job, and it takes people that are really they've got the innate talent, but they don't quite know how to act on screen. And it takes those folks and forms them into um, someone who can actually get jobs in the industry. And that's happened over and over again. So it's very satisfying to see that. And plus, it's just amazing the people you meet along the way. That's been the great thing for me since I started on this journey, as I met so many people that I would never have known. I never would have rubbed elbows with them. So I've learned a lot. I've had a great time. And active actors, we're not just there for um, folks in the middle. We're there for the aged. We do. How's that for a word? We do things at the senior centers where we're helping people to act in the senior centers, and they just love it as just an activity. But then they get roles sometimes, they get work, and also the younger folks that come up. We've had them even down to 6 years old that they're learning their camera techniques and that sort of thing. And it's not just here in Los Angeles that we're reaching out. We've had people come to our classes from Africa, from Europe. We currently have somebody from Germany in our class, one of our classes. Uh, uh, South America. I mean, the world's so small now, and the classes are online. They used to be, we had our own um, in person, in real life classes, but after COVID, we switched to all virtual classes. So the sky's the limit. We can reach anybody on the planet now.
Going back to your acting career and your acting, um, you just played a role in or together with Ramon Cruz as a co-worker in Alien Vacation. I think it's coming out this month or next month.
Well, it has been in post production for quite some time, and we did finally have an event just a few weeks ago where the people that were involved went to a screening, and that was great. So now it's just a matter of finding getting it distributed somewhere. So we're in that limbo period. We don't know who's going to pick it up yet.
I'm interested in how did you get into the movie with Ramon Cruz?
Um, well, that's an interesting question. I they say it's who you know, and in this business, right? You hear that. And Raymond is my neighbor, and he knows how I am. And I'm always walking my dog past his house, and that sort of thing. And he thought that I would make a good UFO enthusiast. He knows I'm an actor, so he brought that up, and we did a little film test. And
So it still can happen. that you become famous, picked on the street, and then you get famous. It's still happening.
It's nice having him as a neighbor. He couldn't be a nicer guy, for playing all those mean parts that he plays, like Tuco in Breaking Bad, Tuco Salamanca, and that sort of thing. He's the nicest guy on earth. I told him, Raymond, you scared me so much in that movie. You were so mean. And he just laughed. He's a great actor. That's how he can do it. Yeah.
But going back to you, you're also the executive producer in for the France USA International Film Festival in Cannes.
Yes, yes, I am. Um, and
What is
I,
your
I went. Mhm.
what is your exact role as an executive producer?
Well, for example, last year I went to the Cannes Film Festival with the goal of meeting a lot of filmmakers and persuading them to put their films in our film festival. And so that was one of my roles as an executive producer, is to talk it up, which is, it's nice work if you can get it right, is going to all these, to go to a festival and just talk about my festival, our festival, and get people to submit their films to the festival. And so that was just amazing, going to all these after parties and that sort of thing, and chatting people up. And we did get several films from that junket. We got several films to be submitted to our film festival, which, it's our film festival. It's also in Cannes, but it's the France USA International Film Festival, and that's just at a different time, of course. So that was one of my roles. And then another one of the roles that I chose was, I was one of the judges and with the submissions to see which films would be selected for our festival. And that was a labor of love, because I saw so many good films. And of course, we can't show them all, but just amazing films from around the world, the Francophone world, but also the whole world. Everything wasn't everything wasn't French based. We'd have films even from Iran, that sort of thing. And especially, well, our other film festival is the Africa USA International Film Festival, and we got a lot of films from Africa, and that was gratifying, because a lot of these films are, as we always say, is we're giving voice to the voiceless. And uh, the international language is storytelling, right? We're all, as human beings, we respond to these stories that kind of transcend uh, national boundaries and continents, and you just see our common humanity in these wonderful films, that a lot of them are very budget. Some are very highly produced, but others are low budget, but they're produced with so much heart. And the stories, they're just amazing, coming out of Africa now. So that is that was very gratifying, that we provided a platform for these films to be shown, and to get the word out. And about other, we showed films about other issues around the globe too, from Palestine and that sort of thing, and other hotspots around the world. So it's you feel like you're a part of something greater than yourself. You're providing that place where we can all learn from each other, and it's very satisfying.
How can these movies be seen? I mean, how can I watch these movies?
Well, you can go to the France USA International Film Festival website, or you can go to the Africa USA International Film Festival website, and you can view those films there. Uh, they're on Film Freeway. So that's a portal. Both of those are portals that you can use.
That's good. So we can watch them because otherwise there is. I mean, it won't get public how to watch small movies like these.
I know, that's the thing. That's where film festivals really come in, is, it's so important to go to film festivals because you see these films that are a lot of them will never make it to distribution, but they're so good and they have such strong messages. And so that's one of the things that I think is so great about film festivals is they get the word out. They provide that platform for people to get their ideas seen and heard.
Yeah, but not everyone can go to France.
No, isn't that the truth? No, that's yeah, that's right. Or I'm talking about film festivals in general. That there's local any local film festival, you're bound to see things that make it worth your while. That's I like to see any kind of film festivals around here in Los Angeles, and there's many of them.
Will there be another one this year in France?
Yes, yes, there will be in June. Yes.
Do you have any recommendation for people who say, I want to become a movie star and get famous and rich?
Well, I'd say it's nice to dream. It's always good to have a dream. Um, and I'm not going to step on anybody's dreams, but you have to be realistic too, and you have to take the steps to, if you want to do that, you have to prepare. You have to learn how to act. Um, you have to make those contacts. And I, I, I mean, I think that, as I said before, there's magic in boldness. If you want to be a movie star, be a movie star. I'll just tell you some stories or a story. I went to Southwest Missouri State, it was called. Now it's Missouri State University. And there was a little theater department. That's where I got my Bachelor of Fine Arts. And it was a very fine theater department. It was about the seventh in the country, rated that way. And we were all just a bunch of kids with big dreams. And one of those kids that, I used to act with was John Goodman. And then look at him. He became a big movie star. And another one was Kathleen Turner. Uh, uh, I was in a play with her called Indians we were both 18. We're exactly the same age. And then she moved off to New York and she became a big, huge movie star too. Uh, and, uh, and also, let's see. Um, Tess Harper, I went to school with her. She moved down to Texas and was acting down there in a little theater down there, and she did a public service commercial for the theater. And Robert Duvall was down there, and he was doing this movie called Tender Mercies, and he was looking for a local girl to star in it with him. And he said, "Let's test her." He saw her on TV in that commercial, and she got that role, and she moved out to Hollywood and eventually she got nominated for an Academy Award. Later on, has become a very professional actress. So who am I to step on anybody's dreams? All those folks were from that little drama school back in Springfield, Missouri. So, hey, anything can happen. That's my message. Go to acting classes, network, yeah, and just keep trying and know that there's a lot of opportunities out there, especially now with all the platforms, uh, and just keep as they say, just keep making every step that you take in the direction of your dreams, and who knows what could happen.
Richard, thank you so much for the nice conversation and for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Ralph, for the opportunity. I appreciate it.